Hey everybody, it's Rob from Flailthroughs, and this is StarMade. I've been wanting to get back to recording for the site for a while now, but, hadn't had the opportunity. Been looking for a new game. I still want to get something Japanese, actually live up to the slogan of the site, but for now, there was a humble sale, and it included this, which is in many ways Minecraft in space, and in many ways its own thing, but it's really fun, it's vast, and I just barely understand how to play it, which at least starts to live up to the promise of Flailthroughs, so let's go. Okay, so, yeah, this is where the game starts, outside a shop in sector, I think they said 001, which means we should be on the lookout for the Borg, of course, but, But, okay, so one of the first things you're supposed to do is build a ship, which I guess I'll start there, yeah. There are a few other things I could do to start, like wander over there and start mining things, but it will be faster if I start mining things from via a ship, so we'll set something basic up for, basic space travel with no, without combat in mind, and get some salvaging done so we can pick a planet and set up a facility. Okay, so this may be a little bit wonky because I am using joy to key in addition to the keyboard, so I do not have a controller that could map everything. If you had like a massive flight joystick with like 50-some buttons, I've seen them. You could probably map every function to this, maybe, but it is a very complex game, so because of that I'm using my headset, because you will hear a lot of thump thump if I were to use my good mic and sit it here on the keyboard stand. So, okay, let's start by making a ship, which I believe is the X button. Yes, we will name this ship design Flail 1. And now we get a ship core, which can actually, in the vacuum of space, fly on its own, but very quickly too, because it has like almost no mass. But once you get to something big enough to have gravity, which none of these asteroids around here will, but once you do, once its soul is held down by gravity, hello Gundam Watchers, it's going to be useless. So what we start doing is adding power reactor modules. So we have something, well, with power. I'm just going to make a vaguely like Rebel Blockade Runner shaped ship. Vaguely. Well, T-shaped, either way. I guess I will put the cannons on in case I do need to, shoot at something on my way through, but I've looked at the wiki for this. The way you're supposed to manage the reactor shapes and the power is still a little bit beyond me, but I'm getting there. I will get there. So, okay, we've got 5 thrusters. That should be plenty. We'll put the cannons on the top of the ship and the salvage beams on the bottom. Here's the cannon computer. You press C to link your cannon barrels to that, and you can either stack them and then have a single shot with more power, or put a bunch of them all over the place and have less power, but, more shots. I'm going to split the difference and do 3 barrels that are 5 blocks long. Oops. It's a little bit hard to manage, especially since I persist in using joypad, but I'm a joypad person. Except for arcade games, I've never been comfortable with joysticks, and I have never, ever, ever gotten the knack of WASD in my entire life, so. And it's not like I'm too old to try, but I don't feel like it. So here's the salvage beam controls. And I'm going to basically do the same thing with the salvage beam. Oh, actually, that's right. I only have 5 barrels of salvage beam, so I'm probably just going to start with a single target for that. So okay. One more. Duh. Okay, now let's place some armor, just because to protect a few important things like my reactors especially, and my cannons as well, because at the basic level of crafting, because crafting in this, oh, you have not seen complicated yet until you see StarMade crafting. But the crafting for StarMade is complex and multi-tiered and very complex. So I have 16 left. Let's shield from the top mostly, I think. That's where it's most open. Actually, that works out perfectly, doesn't it? I'll just have to watch my flanks if I get into trouble, which there is a definite non-zero chance of that, let me tell you. I've tried a couple of worlds. I'm making progress on one, so I figured I was making enough progress to be interesting, or at least fail amusingly, so that's where we are now. Should I plant the last 3 thrusters? Shall I use everything? Yes. There. Thrusters are good and vulnerable, which could be a problem again if I'm attacked, but fingers crossed. Now, inventory, ship, weapon. And we're now to the weapon menu, so I now have access to the salvage and laser beams. Just to show you, you have options as to how to fire. You can do linked fire, which will... Oh, it's not showing the beams. That's great. You can do linked fire. There we go. It's just hard to see at 30 FPS. It usually runs at something like 100. So, but yeah. You can link fire, which will concentrate all your shots in one spot. Or you can do standard fire, which will just hit everything in a straight line. So, okay. Now we're going to start... But yeah, you can see that error message on the side about focusing beams, because there's no point not to focus beams since I have a single salvage laser currently, but... And it fires for about a 2-3 second burst, but if you press the trigger again, or whichever click you please again, you can redirect it in the middle of the beam, as you can see. I had misdirected it because, again, you know, joypad for life, but yeah. So let's check the inventory and see what I'm getting. I'm getting Masset and Nox. There's like 16 different kinds of ore, and you'll need them all to make various upgrades and weapons. Masset, I believe, is one of the ones that goes into armor, so that is an excellent thing to be finding early in. I'm going to do a lot of harvesting in this section before I move on to a planet. I want to try and find a specific type of planet to set my base, to make my base on, but we're going to start by mining, so we can craft in space. And, you know, it's, like I said, I'm enjoying this. I like it. And just so you see, you know, how the weapons work in this, what the weapons do is blast voxels. And I hope that was not deafening for you guys. Matter of fact, let me go back down into the options. Riveting YouTube, and turn the sound down like... Yeah, for some reason it still had the sound at 10. That explains a lot. But yeah, 3 sounds good. Well, 3. But yeah, basically everything in this is every kind of, like, attack in this is based around block destruction. So when you get into fights, when you get into dogfights, you are actually trying to destroy the individual blocks of your opponent's ship. When since I don't have any cameras at the moment, I kind of, there's kind of the catch-22 of the less obstructed your core is, your cockpit, the more you can see, and the more vulnerable to attack you are. So, but on my last game I was messing with camera modules, so hopefully I will be able to do some interesting things there. We'll find out. But been a long time since I recorded with Fraps. I'm hoping I've got everything set up right. And do me a favor, if you see any blurs on this video, let me know. I think I found a YouTube video that explained why the blurs happen when rendering in Sony Vegas and how to fix them. So I'm going to try it with these. If I'm right, all is well, and you will never have my videos blur out again, and there was much rejoicing. If I'm wrong, I'll keep going anyway and keep looking for alternate solutions. But the solution seems to be that I was recording at a variable bitrate, and there's very little that stops Vegas from varying that bitrate down to, like, 2.5. So, now as far as I can tell, the one thing that doesn't cause any damage to your ship in this game is collisions, at least not with celestial bodies. With other ships, I can't say for certain. But here's an interesting thing, because we are in space. If I ram this asteroid, and then I put on my brakes, the asteroid is now moving. Which is admittedly going to make mining... Oh, looks like it stopped moving. Worked in my other game, though, so... Probably depends on the asteroid. This one probably too big for it. But... yeah, there's all sorts of things about this game I have yet to learn, but I'm looking forward to learning them. Let me tell you, though, at first, I would recommend looking up a wiki if you get this game, and right now, technically it's free at the moment, but registering it for when they get out of alpha is like $10, or through the Humble Weekly sale that's good until, like, Thursday, August the... something? I want to say, like, 18th, 19th, whatever it is. Might be 20th, don't know. Bad with dates, don't mind me. But if you get it in that Humble sale where it's only $1, you can register it and link the game to your Steam account, so you're guaranteed to get future updates. And I think it's worth it, and I'm looking forward to seeing, how far this game goes, because if they update it as religiously as they do Minecraft, different companies, of course, but, if that, let's phrase that better, if they update it as religiously as Minecraft is updated, it could be good, It could go so many places from here. There's, there is a lot of potential in this game. But look up a wiki when you start. There's like 2 or 3. Try to find the one that's current and get some information on how the crafting and especially the power system work. The power system is the key to everything, and it really threw me starting out with this. I suspect if, like most of my friends, you are a, redstone genius, you will have much less trouble with it than I do. But everything in StarMade has to be powered. Your ship has to be powered. Your factories have to be powered. They're the crafting equivalents. There's like 2 or 3 or 4 tiers of them. So, know that going in. They do give you a little power supply beam gun. So if you don't have any reactors and you don't have the wherewithal to get them, you have some options. Okay. That is... I should know what this is. Certes ore, and I think... I'm not sure what the other resource is yet. It might be more Nox? Let's find out. No, it is Rammet. Okay. Or possibly Remet, however you want to go with that, but we're going to grab a bunch of this stuff. we're going to check out the rest of the system and see if there are any nearby asteroids with other things we can get. And then we're going to find, like I said, a specific kind of planet, because I've found that for my purposes, setting up base there is the best way for me to start. Because I want to set up a faction of my own, but as far as I can tell, once you do, you're subject to attack by pirates. Now, I want to set a faction, but not declare a home planet, because once you declare a home planet, you can't mine on that planet anymore. So that's not what I want to do. I want to claim the system, but not declare whatever planet I land on my homeworld. Oops. Started to get away from it. So that's, that's step one. I know what I want, I know what I want to find, and I may have to do some traveling to do it. But once I find it, we'll be able to get started building a bunch of stuff and maybe go out and get into some fights. I'm not guaranteeing I'll get all that done this session. It's going to be a process, but it's a process I at least have a grasp of, so we'll start there. As I get grasps of other things, we'll keep recording. But get closer. There we go. Let's see, I have at least 20 of each thing, which will get me, once I am in a position to refine them properly, at least 100 of each of these resources. It's a start. It's a good start. But now, any other... Let's see, I tried that one. I think, yeah. I tried one of the two. They seem similar or identical in make, but we'll steer in and double check, because just because they look identical doesn't mean bonk, they'll have the same resources. But yeah, see, that is moving now. So that one is slightly smaller, so I think bonking it worked a little better. That looks to be more Nox, but again, I'm going to claim a few more resources to be extra sure before I take off looking for what I'm looking for. But I'm not going to tell you what type of planet I'm looking for, because I want it to be a surprise. That is more Nox. That is more Maset. Okay, that seems to be what we can get here. Now, in terms of what planet... any other places in the immediate neighborhood where we could do some mining? I don't see any. So, what's the nearest planet that looks like it may be what I'm looking for? That. Okay, we're going to head for that white planet over there. As far as I can tell, no matter how you have it set up, the speed of your ship tops out at 74.9 meters a second, but of course, depending on how much thrust you have and versus how much mass, that determines how quickly. So we're gonna go to this planet, and if it's the type I'm looking for, which I'll be able to discern fairly quickly, we'll set up camp there and start manufacturing things, and like I said, maybe make a warship and go out hunting pirates. That depends on how much time I have tonight. But that is one of my first goals. I want to take on some pirate ships and maybe even capture a pirate space station if I can. That I've never done before, and I think it's going to require a really good ship, so I might decide to make my own starbase before we go that route, just so I can have a better place to launch an attack from, because it is a little bit hard to set up a shipyard planet side. That's the only downside to the way I've been doing. But I can craft a thing called a build block, which will allow me to set up a structure in space. Because normally to go into build mode, which looks like this, you have to have a ship core, but a build block will let you do the same thing. Okay, entered system -1. I can claim it with a faction block. That is one of our goals. to create a faction block and, claim this sector for ourselves, because that will, among other things, up the number of resources we can claim from the planet.